It's here.
What?
The thing I ordered.
That is a huge box. I thought you said you weren't going to buy yourself anything on Black Friday because it's so close to UDP.
I know, but this was on offer and it looks really exciting.
What even is it?
Help me get the lid off and I'll show you. Here, grab a crowbar.
Here it comes.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet-Dale.
And I'm not Jane Harris Magnet-Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women who are wives in the gay type talk about media we've consumed in the week and we have a bit of a giggle.
We sure are some wives in the gay type.
Yeah, we sure are some gay wives.
Subcategory wives.
We sure are a pair of gays.
Gay. That sure is us.
How are you doing on this very chilly day?
I've got my gloves on.
Yeah.
You've got a blankie and your hood up.
And my hood, yeah. I've been living with my hood up for a few days. I'm just like, keep the warm in.
It sure is lovely living in the UK right now.
It sure is lovely living in the UK right now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what is lovely? Things we played.
Yeah.
That's one of the categories of stuff we do here on this show.
That is. What have you played?
It's Pokemon.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks, yeah.
Have you played anything but Pokemon?
I have played things other than Pokemon, but like...
Okay, well tell us about the Pokemon first.
It has been a lot of Pokemon. Look, this new Pokemon's really good, alright? I mean, it's a bad broken game, but it's really good.
It's really good, but also it's awful. But it is good.
The only thing right now that I look at and go, that is legitimately like an unforgivable situation with that game is the fact that online competitive fights currently have a single fixed RNG seed, meaning that moves that are meant to be like very low chance of hitting, but they give you like they're an instant KO if they hit. You can work out what to do to make them always hit 100% of the time because it's a fixed RNG seed. And ranked...
That's not how RNG works.
Yeah, and ranked matchmaking is meant to happen really soon, so, so far that's the only thing where I'll go, yeah, no, I'll give you that, everyone. That is fucked. I'm having so much fun with this game.
I'm glad.
I'm really enjoying it. I talked about this a little bit, like, last time we did an episode. I think I just finished my first playthrough.
I think so.
Yeah, so... I really like this game. I've really enjoyed the story. I think that, like, in particular, the story of the Titan defeating quest to go get the magical sandwich ingredients is genuinely kind of heartwarming and sweet.
Magical sandwich.
I think that Team Star is one of my favorite antagonist teams in a Pokemon game ever. They're great. I love them. I like a lot of the new Pokemon designs. I have things that I would complain about, like, removing the shiny sparkle sound is bullshit on Spawn. I wish that the glide mechanic still worked the same way it did in Legends Arceus, where you always descend gradually so you can glide as far as you like until that gradual descent, rather than it just dropping off to a hard fall at some point. I have problems with it, but it's also really, really got its hooks in me. I've been really enjoying online raids in a way that, like, I haven't generally engaged with in the past. I think that it really helps that the game has made it easier than ever to train up a Pokemon competitively. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things from Sword and Shield that were designed to help you be able to train up a competitive Pokemon have returned, are available a lot earlier in the game than they were previously. You don't have to wait to the post-game. The threshold of when you can start, like, perfecting your Pokemon is a much lower level. Mm-hmm. Even some mechanics, and, like, I wish this was better explained, but I do like that it's there at least. Certain old, really obtuse mechanics have new ways of getting around them. One of the most infuriating things about trying to breed a competitive Pokemon in the past was something called egg moves.
Right.
Where you could get a Pokemon to learn a move that it usually wouldn't be able to learn via breeding, by breeding using one of the partners that can learn that move. But the problem is that there's certain egg moves from generations past that there is no viable breeding target to teach the egg move in current games, and people who've transferred a Pokemon forward might just have access to a move that no one else does, unless they're going to go play an old game and bring it forward. The new method, delete one of your Pokemon's moves that you want to learn the egg move,
Right.
put it in a picnic with a Pokemon that does know that move, close the picnic, it knows the move now.
Yay!
Super simple. I think one of them has to be holding a mirror herb, but it is so much easier than the previous method. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. I've gotten really into shiny hunting in this one.
Yeah.
I'm
into shiny hunting?
I know. I'm closing up on my first full box of shinies already. Putting aside the
How
obvious.
Many's in a box?
Pardon?
How many's in a box?
32.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm 3 spots away from duds, so that would be, 29 shinies so far? Putting aside my issues with the lack of sparkle animation and sparkle visual on spawn, actually, I'm not going to put those aside yet. I think that those are a problem, and I think they're an even bigger problem given the fact that many of this game's Pokemon have subtle changes to shiny forms. I keep discovering there's more of them than I'm aware of that have that's disappointingly subtle. But also a lot of Pokemon are very physically small, and a game with a low visual resolution in the first place that then makes a Pokemon very small and then changes very little what the Pokemon looks like. That's not fun for shiny hunting. But now, putting that aside, now that I understand sort of how the gameplay loop works for shiny hunting of do high-end raids, get Herba Mystica, make good sandwiches, save before you make the sandwich so that if you don't find a shiny you can reset and reuse these sort of rare ingredients. Spend 30 minutes with boosted shiny odds and boosted encounter odds for a specific type of Pokemon. Find a place where, ideally, there is only one Pokemon that can spawn there of that type, so if you can find, say, a place where Charcadet is the only fire type in that area that spawns, make a fire type boosting sandwich, just everything that spawns will be Charcadet. Cool. And then you can go do your shiny hunt, running back and forth until you see your shiny. It's really enjoyable. I've messed around a bit with mass outbreaks for shiny hunting. They're good. Honestly, I've not been fussed about them. You can do shiny hunting pretty quickly just fine without them, in most cases. Yeah, I've gotten more into competitive team building with this gen than I have in basically any past one. This is the first one where I've gone, maybe I could build up a ranked competitive team. Maybe I could start doing some ranked play online. Maybe I could give that a try this time.
And I'm guessing it'll be a shiny ranked competitive team.
I mean, eventually that would be the goal. I'm not worrying about that yet, but yeah, I've been training up a lot of competitive end Pokemon just so that I have an easier time with doing the high-end raids, because they're definitely a lot more difficult than the raids were in Sword and Shield, and they're the best way of getting the resources to then go do the shiny hunts. So I've been okay, let's actually look at making a competitively statted Pokemon, so that I can... I'm actually learning how the mechanics work for competitive properly so that I can get shiny hunting materials, and I'm learning a lot. Belly Drum is a busted powerful move. It is ridiculous.
Ba-dum-dum-dum. I can do that.
Ba-dum-bum-bum. Yeah. It halves your health but quadruples your damage. And if you can then pair that with a move that regains you health when it hits, you then do a 4 times damaging move and recover 4 times as much health, and that'll probably make up for the Belly Drum. I'm I understand how this game works. Yeah. So not much more to say other than that I'm very down the Pokemon rabbit hole.
Yay!
And I acknowledge every problem that game has, and it's not stopped me from playing, I think I'm 75 hours in on that second playthrough already.
Let Laura enjoy the thing.
Yeah, I enjoy a thing. And if you don't enjoy it, that's fine too, but don't tell me I'm wrong for enjoying it. What about you? What have you played this week?
Well, since last recording, I should say.
Well, yes.
So, I played a butt ton of Oxygen Not Included.
Yeah, tell me about that.
This is a game where basically your main planet got blown up. There's now a bunch of asteroids and a bunch of seemingly repeated people. Well done for coming up with a narrative reason why there's only so many character models. Why these creatures are just replicated over and over and over again. And basically you're just trying to keep them alive by making sure they have enough food and oxygen. And that's really all they need.
Yeah.
You can also, do things like getting them into space to go and discover out other asteroids, and making plastics and advanced clothing stuff. But in amongst that, it's a lot of, I'm trying to make these people have oxygen, but also there is a very high risk, apparently, that they will just end up with a bunch of carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide is bad. Because the carbon dioxide will basically, that will do bad things.
Yeah, they'll drown in not good air.
They'll drown in not good air. I've had a good few of those happen. Like, my current run, I'm on like cycle 240, which is basically 240 odd days.
Yeah.
And I have tunneled all the way to the surface of my asteroid. I built a huge ventilation system that basically pumps carbon dioxide from as low down as possible into space. Yeah. I never have to deal with it again.
Yay!
And you could say that is probably a waste of something, and I could probably be sucking the carbon out of it.
Yeah, but you want your people not to suffocate. That's like priority number one.
That was priority number one. And so far it's going all right. I've managed to find supplies of renewable water. I think I might be about to find a way to manage renewable gold. I found a gold volcano.
A gold volcano?
A gold volcano.
Nice.
So that will progressively produce, or periodically produce steam and gold. So we just need a way of farming the gold and carefully managing the steam.
Yeah.
So, but I've got some sort of systems going for like keeping water moving around and making sure everyone has enough of everything. It seems to be working mostly okay so far. Nobody has yet died. Well, okay, 3 or 4 people have died, but no one's died recently. Not within the last 60 or so cycles.
Oh, that's pretty good going. That's like a couple of months.
And that's usually just because they did something kind of silly.
Yeah. The days since last fatality calendar's like looking
in double
alright.
digits.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an important aspect. I spent my first few days of playing this game thinking way too small. Because although it does the decent thing of, like, hey, you know how a lot of these games force you to go to a wiki? There's kind of a journal thing built in.
Yeah.
So you can go, what does this do? How is it connected? What might I get from this creature if it eats a particular type of food? All that information right there in the game. Don't have to go out to a wiki. And although it does kind of have a tutorial of, hey, here is the thing you might need to do. Here is as an important piece of information about carbon dioxide. It sinks compared to oxygen.
I think that's definitely more than most of these games will tell you.
Yeah, it's a good start, but I had to sort of go onto YouTube and like look up just like what can a base be more than anything else. Not necessarily hints or tips, but like what sort of thing should I be aiming for? And I realised where I had gone wrong was just making tiny little rooms and tiny little things. What I needed to be doing was carving huge swathes out of this to build a huge base and find the seeds I needed to make sure that everyone would have enough food and sort of that sort of thing. And just to get resources is generally just dig for things and to find and utilize the volcanoes or vents and things like that, and as you move on, and things to super watch out for, like zombie spores. Apparently, if zombie spores get into your base, there is a good chance that is just game over for that whole place.
I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense. Zombie spores sounds like the kind of thing that would decimate a small community very quickly.
Yeah. And also, like, not having any idea of how many is a good number of duplicants to have. Because obviously work can potentially get done quicker, but also then I have to deal with more carbon dioxide and needing more food. Food, it seems, hasn't become the biggest issue in the game,
Yeah.
but I have repeatedly had problems with, okay, I've managed to get rid of all the carbon dioxide, and I've largely dealt with all the polluted oxygen, and I'm trying to produce oxygen, but people are seemingly breathing it faster than I can produce it, but also at the same time, I've overpressurized my entire base and now everyone has popped eardrums. And they're sad about that.
I'd be sad about that too. That's an unpleasant feeling.
But it's a pretty deep management sim from the people who brought You Don't Starve.
Yeah.
And it feels generally less perilous than Don't Starve.
It feels like it wants you to do well. Or at the very least, it doesn't want to punish you for things you had no way of knowing quite as much.
Largely, yeah. And like all the times I restarted at the beginning of the game, I could have kept going with them. The problem was never insurmountable. It's like, I don't think I'm doing this as well as I could. I'm going to start again.
Yeah.
So I'm now like on my 4th or 5th run from when I first started it, and that's the one that just has kept going and going and going, because I do have that idea of scope. There's like, yeah, okay, I know I need to deal with polluted water, but rather than dealing with a little bit here and there, the easiest thing I found to do is dig it all together into one place and then either treat it or seal it off.
Exactly.
So, I'm enjoying it so far. I probably won't have as much time necessarily in future as I have spent on it recently to go in and just dive into it, but it is definitely a game that you could really get into for huge periods of time and spend a lot of time on the nitty-gritty of, but I have enjoyed my time with it so far.
Hooray!
What else have you played?
I've not got a huge amount to say about it, but I played the new update for Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, there's some fun new stuff in there.
Yeah,
it's more Vampire Survivors.
We've got a whole new level, we've got a new hidden character.
Yeah, it's more Vampire Survivors.
It is.
I have nothing really to add other than that I'm glad they're continuing to add things to it.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that it's small amounts, because it means that I can just pop in every now and then and go, yeah, that was a couple of hours and I got some more Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that about it. Like, it wasn't a huge update. It was just like, hey, there's an update just to let you know there's 2 new achievements and a secret.
Yeah. Go.
It's like, cool. So I bopped in. The 2 new achievements led me to the secret. The secret led me to the secret character.
Yep. It all
Hurrah.
very naturally led through itself.
And I have a large blue friend now.
Yes. The other thing we've both played, I've started playing, but I think you've put considerably more time into than me, is the new Little Inferno.
Little Inferno just for me.
Yeah, so
The
do you want to
Ho-Ho Holiday expansion.
Yeah, do you want to tell us about the Ho-Ho Holiday update?
So, it's an odd one. So, basically, it is DLC. You start the game up, and it's like, do you want to play Original or Ho-Ho Holiday? It's like, okay, play the expansion. You have your 3 chimney saves to go into. You go into it, and it appears to basically be pretty much exactly the same. You burn your terms and conditions. You burn the letter telling you, well done on burning your terms and conditions. You get your first calendar, and around that time you also get the naughty and nice list.
Yes. So for anyone who's never played the original Little Inferno, it is a game about burning things that arrive in a catalogue, and you're trying to burn them in combinations to unlock more money to buy more things. It's
because the world has got super cold.
Yep, the world has gotten super cold, so buy a bunch of possessions to throw on the fire to keep yourself warm.
Yep, credit is available.
Yep. Capitalism, and the world freezing and burning. It's a fun one, that.
Yeah, and originally you had your neighbour Sugar Plumps.
Yes.
Who would just periodically send you letters, and you could burn them as well.
Yeah, your
friend
friend
ask for things, and
your friend who's also burning things on the other side of the wall.
Yeah,
yeah,
and stuff happens. No spoilers.
Yeah,
and.
But obviously, like, this is where this update starts diverging, because it's not Sugar Plum that you're interacting with.
It's 8-Bit Nate,
yes,
who starts off as just this massive jerk gamer boy.
Yeah.
And then stuff starts to happen to him. Again, no spoilers. So basically, Nate entirely replaces the Sugar Plumps character. I think at one point you get a letter from Sugar Plumps going, at any other time, maybe in this exact time, in this exact place, somewhere else, we can be friends.
Yeah.
But obviously not here, not now. Bye! And that's kind of all you hear from her.
Yeah.
And then pretty much everything else in the game is the same. You still have like occasional drop like messages from the weatherman high above the city, above the smokestacks,
Yep.
reporting it's the weatherman. Constantly talking about how snowy and cold it is.
You're still burning many of the same items.
You're still burning. Well, you still have the same. I think 7 catalogues, the base
Yes.
catalogues, but you also have the naughty and nice catalogue,
Yes.
which is let me see, maybe 20 new items.
Yes. So you can either sort of do combos that involve burning them with each other, or more often than not, combining things from the new section with things from the old section to make new combinations.
Yeah. So all of the original combos are still in there, and there are now combos involving some of the new stuff from that Naughty and Nice catalogue. More parts of that open up as you complete all the other catalogues. So it's not just have you bought everything up to a point, because obviously in the regular catalogue it's like only a few items at a time are become available until you've burnt enough stuff. And the rather helpfully the achievement combo list tells you if one of the items is from the Naughty and Nice list. It shows a little snowflake on there.
Yep.
And that is really helpful for sort of trying to establish what is the name of this combo trying to point me towards. So obviously if you remember or can work out enough of the stuff from the original, you've probably got a head for working out what the new combos are anyway.
Yeah.
And then you will eventually get through and you will have the whole story with Nate and what happens with Nate. And then... how spoilery do I want to be? In the least spoilery terms possible, outside of that extra catalogue and what happens directly in front of your fireplace, and the fact that you have the little string lights hanging down at the sides instead of just the bare brick walls that used to be there in the base game, there isn't really a lot of change.
No.
Like, the story with Nate is pretty much it.
Yeah.
And occasionally you will, if you know the end of the game, occasionally there will be Christmas lights wrapped around various bits in the background.
Yes, I know exactly what you're on about.
And that's really about it. Like, not a lot has changed.
It's one of those things where it feels like they could have just added in these catalogues into the original. Like, there's not...
I mean, it is an expansion, so it's not like trying to take over or anything, but...
No, but you know what I mean.
It just felt like the some of it felt a bit lazy, especially the ending, but I kind of felt the original ending to Little Inferno was maybe a little on the lazy side anyway.
I don't know.
Especially since the dialogue choices never made a difference.
I kind of liked the original ending despite knowing that the dialogue choices didn't make a difference, but this doesn't feel like a thing that needed to be an additional story. It feels like it could have just been new items and combos.
It could have been. I mean, I appreciated the Nate stuff.
Yeah.
But I felt like maybe more of a tweak to the ending.
Yeah.
Would have than what we got was.
Yes.
Because it all like as soon as you.
Yeah, there is a certain point at which it's just the other ending.
It's basically the other ending with Christmas lights on it.
Yes.
There is one item in the game very right at the bottom of the Naughty and Nice list, which I don't think is a huge spoiler, is basically a lifetime subscription for logs.
Uh-huh.
So if you order this item, it's the last item in the Naughty or Nice list, and basically it will roll up the lights, and it will get rid of your little thing at the bottom for adding new items to the fire.
Yeah.
And then just a log will drop through the chimney. And if you don't set it on fire fast enough, it will eventually catch fire on its own. And periodically more logs will just drop out of the chimney at the top. and some of them will be special ones. So you'll get like one that looks like it's wrapped in like festive paper, and it burns all different rainbow colours. Sometimes you'll get one that looks like it's out of Minecraft, and it will burn with pixelated flames. Sometimes you'll get a pink fluffy one, and it'll burn with pink flames.
It's a nice little festive automated fireplace.
Yeah, so basically like the
fireplace
10-hour
TV channel.
Yeah, the
or
10-hour
whatever.
fireplace thing, or the fireplace TV channel. It's actually quite... I had it on the other day.
Honestly,
I was like,
I like that that's a thing.
it's quite a nice little function. You can click to have the fairy lights come back down or not.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
I quite like that as a
Yeah.
thing. That is a nice little addition. My only issue with that is there's a couple of combos that require that. It's quite an expensive item,
Yeah.
and as soon as that has been set fire to, you're not able to add anything else to it. You have to basically cancel out of that. Your subscription ends. The things stop dropping down the chimney.
Yeah.
So basically what you have to do is get the other items you need for the combo ready,
Yeah.
then add that, and make sure they all go off at once, because otherwise you won't get the combo for them.
Ouch.
Yeah, especially if you're fumbling around a little bit.
Yeah, if you're trying to work out the solution, you don't know it for certain.
Yeah.
That's going to be frustrating.
It is a little bit frustrating, but once you've got it all, it's quite a nice thing to just go, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and leave that on for a bit in the background. Get my
How
little crackly
lovely.
sounds. Have you been getting on well with it?
Yeah, I've not put a huge amount of time into it so far. My big takeaway has been it's more Little Inferno, and it's an excuse for me to come back to a game that I deeply, deeply enjoy.
I really enjoy it. I remember playing it on stream and some people being like, this isn't working for me.
Yeah, I get that it's not for everyone. It's one of the first like indie games that I really remember like feeling like deeply passionate about. And this was when it was released on the Wii back in the day.
Oof.
And I remember playing it on like my little box 4x3 CRT.
Oof.
I
didn't know Little Inferno had come out on Wii.
Yeah, it came...
World of Goo, I think.
Yeah, World of Goo, and then Little Inferno came out on Wii.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a special game. That it's not for everyone, but it's a special game.
I get why a lot of people have trouble with it, because like even though all the animals in it are stuffed animals, they do squeak sometimes.
I mean, yeah, sometimes you'll set fire to what appears to be a toy school bus, and then all the children will start screaming.
Yep.
Like it will unsettle at times.
Yes.
But
yeah. Oh, the other thing that annoyed me with this is it did happen kind of in the original. There's a couple of things where if you leave them in the fireplace for too long, they will basically break other things.
Yes.
So you can't get combos out of them if you've added, say, a diseased object.
yeah,
There are a couple of things like that will just disappear certain objects from your fireplace. So again, you have to either place them really carefully at certain angles so that they don't interact with other things, or just like put them in last, which if you're going for a big combo with a bunch of stuff, can be a right pain in the ass.
Yeah.
What else have you played?
Well, we played a board game that I think we can do a very quick, simple review of.
Which one is it?
We played Mysterium Park.
We did. It's Mysterium, but smaller.
Exactly. It's basically Mysterium, but smaller.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to puzzle out... So, Mysterium Original is try and find a killer location and murder weapon with cryptic clue cards
What if Cluedo had abstract art instead of dice rolling?
Yeah. So Mysterium Park only has 2 rounds. You're just trying to find a person and a place. But
then you're trying to find the correct person and place?
Yes. But you have you deal out a lot more people and a lot more locations.
Yeah.
So you have a harder time of finding the one you're after, but there are fewer rounds.
Yeah, because there's basically 9 total things laid down per round.
Yes.
And, yeah, I think the original, it's
It's fine.
I mean, I've only played
yeah.
it's. I think it's basically one more than the number of players.
Yeah, so yeah, we've typically done 4 players and there's 5, but here we had 4 players and there were 9 things out.
Yeah.
But there's fewer rounds. A lot of its mechanics are basically the same.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Yeah.
Instead of the crows, you have little like circus tickets.
Because all of it's set at a theme park.
Yes.
Or a sort of fun fair.
Yeah, which does kind of cause a bit of a problem for the ghost with their abstract art.
Yes.
And perhaps for the psychics, because very often you'll be like, yeah, I will. This thing might represent that in
Yeah.
in my particular vision, but also almost all of them are going to have like strings of
Yeah,
lights
there's-
or something carnival based.
Yeah, there's a lot of shared iconography. Like, Strings of Lights was the one we pointed out at the start would be
Yeah.
completely useless to
Yeah.
try and...
Or animal
hint at-
prizes.
Yeah, well, that was it.
Soft
Like,
animals.
there were like 4 different things out that had, well, that... I feel like I'm being led to a stuffed animal bunny. That could be one of these 4 things, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Something led to a target. Well, maybe it's that game of skill or that game of skill.
yeah. It doesn't feel necessarily as well balanced, but it is an effective small box translation of Mysterium. It works just fine.
It's only a slightly bigger box than like some of the Gameland games, the Tiny Epic games.
Yeah.
And we've got what, like 4 of those. They're really nice. They, don't fill too much shelf space.
Yeah.
They're great if you don't have a huge amount of space. And as far as simplicity goes, I think that Mysterium Park is probably probably the one I would more readily introduce people to now that I've played it.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, I do like Big Mysterium, but I think it can be a lot of faffing about to sort of sort
Yes,
out.
it's-
And this is really contained.
Yes. So yeah, that was Mysterium Park.
Yeah.
We also played a bit more Hogs of War.
We did. We
the
finally played
miniatures game.
a second mission.
It's been a while since we played it, so we had to refresh a bit.
Yeah, we watched the all-new How to Play guide, and it was crap.
It's the same problem as with
Steampunk Rally
Fusion. Don't do in-character cutesy instructional videos.
Yeah,
but-
you can wear the cool outfits, but don't put on an accent that's difficult. Although this one didn't.
No, this one had like vinyl crackle.
Vinyl crackling and music that was slightly too loud.
Yeah, and I'm like, I get what you're going for, but my brain.
But also on top of that, there was like visual noise and like weird camera edits, like rolling film and stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, you've really captured the idea you were going for, but it's really difficult
Hard to
take
learn
the
from.
And
Yeah.
also, like, there was a lot of stuff it just didn't cover.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, well, I'll just read the manual, because we originally played just from the manual and having read that, and true, that took us a while to read through, but I think ultimately the manual isn't badly written,
yeah.
which helps.
But yeah, we played another sort of pig-based little war game.
Yeah, so this is the
on
Hogs
this-
of War miniature game as opposed
Yeah.
to the Hogs of War card game, or
Yes,
the Hogs of War PS1 game.
Yes, so this is a sort of hex-based scenario war game.
Yep.
This particular scenario, the big thing you could get victory points for was destroying the buildings that the
Yep.
other side had built.
Yeah.
And I played with a very big gun.
And I foolishly put 2 buildings too close together.
Yep.
Meaning that you basically needed to hit them once to to pretty much win the game.
Yeah. So I had a gun that I could use resources to fire once per round, as long as I kept the resources for it. And if I got like the roll I needed, it would blow up a big hex area.
Yep.
And yeah, because Jane had put 2 buildings like 1 hex apart. I was like, okay, I'll aim right between the 2. And when I eventually got my successful roll, it's like, oh, that's all the points I needed to win in one
Yep.
explosion.
Yep. Because the other thing, I was struggling to get onto the mountain to try and claim the single strategic point back, because there was a point right in the middle of the map that was like, if you can claim this is worth a point per round.
Yes.
And it was like, well, I kind of have to take it on my first go, and then you immediately took it back from me.
Yeah.
Because I was first player in that particular scenario, which means you got the last turn and got to take it from me. And then subsequently, I couldn't get close enough to it without putting myself, because it was up a mountain, it meant that I was putting myself in a lot of danger of just being shot immediately.
Yes.
And because of the upgrades you had on your particular characters, that meant that you were getting a huge advantage on shooting at me.
At a particular range, yeah.
Yes.
I got as quick as I could on that objective that was going to get me points over time, and then gave myself exactly the upgrade to make it difficult to come and take it.
Because the point was that it takes 2 action points to get onto the mountain.
Yes.
And you basically, because you'd managed to get up there and stay up there for a really long time, you were doing fine. It was one of those times where I really wish I'd spent more time familiarizing myself with, and thinking ahead a bit at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But I think by the time we'd faffed about with, it's quite a big setup, because it's a neoprene mat or a board if you've got the standard edition, and then you put all these little bits of cardboard terrain onto that. It's not raised or anything, but it's like this cluster of hexes represents a mountain, and if you flip that over, it's rivers. And then these little cluster of 3 hexes, that represents a small amount of forest. And these will all come with cover bonuses. Then you've got roads that are 4 hexes long, and there's quite a lot of looking in the campaign book and going, okay, this is the map I'm laying out, and making sure everything's in the right order, and then making sure that you've put all of your stuff in the right place.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a faff.
It is a bit of a faff.
But I think if we can maybe get another game in before not too long, we might be able to sort of retain all that, and then sort of sit there at the beginning and actually think about what to do. Because, my first turns were, so wrong, and I heard you also making a few, no, I did that wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get my...
That's always the way with a big, complex game like this, where it's you spend your first few turns just getting the mechanics back under wraps.
But, I mean, you had your idea, down from, step 1. You were like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to build R&D, I'm going to build the chop shop. I'm leaping onto that railgun. I was like, well, the railgun's gone, and that's the best one. So I'm just not going to, rush now to do that. And I was like, I'm going to sort out my economy and make sure I've got the most amount of money coming in. And I got to the end of the first round and was realised, I've got full money, I can't make any more, I can't spend any of it.
I had the same problem. I didn't unlock any of my other troop types on that first round.
Yeah.
Which meant that, that first round I had all this money and was like, I have literally nothing to spend it on because all my grunts are out and I didn't unlock another unit type. I'd have delayed going for the big railgun by 1 turn just to get some other unit to be spending funds on. But
yeah, and there were a few other points where I bought things and then didn't end up using them.
Yeah.
I bought the snipers and I don't think I ever put a sniper onto the field. Because I worked out that it made more sense because of the positioning of your troops and the positioning of your bunkers to just get a heavy weapons expert with a bazooka to just shoot over the mountain at you.
Yeah. Had you not had both of your buildings within 1 shot of each other, I think the game would have been a lot more close to the line.
Yeah.
Because the position I got into was I had staked all of everything I had on this rail cannon, taking out your bases.
Yep.
I was so low on troops and could not afford to keep putting new troops in, but also keep firing the cannon. And we were 1 turn away from me having no troops to work with, and you being able to just march in and take that center point on the thing. And
I didn't need the center point. I was a turn away from absolutely wrecking your bunkers.
Oh yeah, no, I know my bunkers were in. Yeah, if you'd have taken out 3 bunkers as well, there's I was in a lot of danger,
Yeah.
and I was really just like, I know I'm in danger. I just have to keep firing the big gun at those two buildings and hope it hits.
Statistically, it was going to
Yeah.
happen eventually, and it did, and you won.
It was a good game. We took very different strategies, and it could have gone either way.
Yeah. I just wish I'd thought about more of my moves better.
Oh, same.
I thought I knew what I was doing, and I think it is some of it is familiarizing, like not feeling rushed, but also like not wanting. I think I need to take more of a chess approach to a lot of the war game stuff. Like also when we played War of the Ring, it's like it's quite a big game. It's going to take quite a long time. I feel like maybe I should be trying to get some pace on. And what I should probably be doing is going, no, think about it. What are the reactions? What plan ahead a bit more than just, I think this troop does the right kind of damage or lets me roll the right kind of dice that are going to let me actually do some damage to you in that position. Because as soon as you were off the mountain, I was so ready to go, but it was all too late. So, what else have you played?
I think that's it for me. Have you played anything else?
Oh, I think I've probably played a couple of things. I played some Railbound.
Oh,
I think we talked about this a little while ago. I've been enjoying that. I'm a good chunk of the way, I think, through that. I'm not sure how many worlds there are. I think I'm on world 6 or something. It's just an adorable little puzzle game of trying to make train carts fit onto the back of a locomotive in the correct order.
Yeah.
Be they through tunnels or through other things, or making them stop at the correct stations to pick up the right people in the right order before getting to the thing, or hitting points track or points controls to make various things move. It gets to be a bit of a head scratcher, and the fact that you're
not wrong.
You've got a lot of levels that are just, here is the level, and then you might get but here's that level A or B. Now, why not try it now with, say, less pieces of track?
Mm-hmm.
Or there is an unpassable or unusable space at a really awkward point on the board. Work around that now with the same resources. Like, fuck. But it's a fun little head scratcher. It's beautifully animated. It's very cute.
Art's gorgeous.
Yeah, and there's the little incidentals.
Yeah.
Between the play areas.
The dogs driving their trains.
The little dogs driving the trains. They're adorable.
Yeah.
And good friends. What else? I played The Block.
We played
Have
The
you
Block.
also played The Block?
Am I not thinking of the board game that we played with friends?
That's Block by Block.
Oh, that's Block by Block. Oh no, okay, I haven't played The Block. What is The Block?
The Block is It bills itself as the world's smallest city builder.
Oh, this! I've downloaded it. I haven't started playing it yet. Yeah.
I have played it, and I feel I have seen everything there is to see in this game.
Yeah.
So, it's got a very, populous almost art style.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you can pick a size of grid from extra small to extra large. It starts with a basic on medium, and you have very limited controls. You have a Q and E to rotate 90 degrees the little isometric view of this square that you are working on to build a city. And you basically get per level or per generated area an assigned set of tiles.
Yeah.
So those tiles might be different types of buildings, and you might have these are roofed buildings, and they've got your traditional pointy roof on either side, and then is it the gable end?
Yes, yeah.
The triangle bit on the end. And some of them will be different heights. And then there also might be, maybe there's a church thrown in there. And there is usually, so there'll be different heights of buildings. There might be slightly different styles of buildings that you'll be assigned. I've had like a church thrown in there as well. They're obviously very tall. You can like individually rotate those. And then you've got usually like a flat thing, and that might be just a blank path that you could lay out around the buildings. Or you might have like it's sort of on that flat path style tile, but maybe it's got like a couple of little market stalls. Or maybe it's got a couple of trees. Or what I'm fairly certain are supposed to be like lampposts. And you can like right click to go, I don't want that type of thing, I need one of these right now. And then you place it all down, and once it's completely filled up, you get a little jingle, and it's, instead of doing the quick 90-degree flicks around, it just does a little slow pan, and you can slow pan around it. And then when you're done, you can just either press R to get a new space, which might have new tiles in it, or that's it.
Yep. This does not surprise me. The reason why I hadn't rushed to check it out today was that it was like, yeah, the world's smallest city builder, ... Let me see if I can find the thing. I saw somewhere in the press release to do, please note that the block is a very small game, more of a digital toy.
Yes.
And I was like, cool, I've set my expectations correctly for this. It does not seem like it is a thing about challenge, it's just a nice thing to play around with, and that is it. The price is not currently listed on Steam, it's not out until December 16th.
Yeah, and the developers have said that it is going to be a cheap game.
Yes, there's a little news post on the Steam page that's like, yep, the price is going to be very low on price, very high on vibes. And I'm like, yeah, if this is suitably cheap, maybe?
Yeah. It feels like the kind of and this is probably going to sound really weird, or maybe even not necessarily good for the developer. This is the kind of thing I want to play when I'm having a really dark, depressive episode.
No, I get what you mean.
There's no score. I don't have to fret about anything. I just put tiles down and make a little
sat
city.
and played with a digital toy.
Yeah.
And now I made it and it looks pretty.
I feel like it falls into that category of, was it Townscaper?
Yeah.
It's slightly less control than Townscaper. So Townscaper had that like quite beautiful art style. You could change the colours of the buildings
and,
you were putting
the heights
down.
you were building at.
The heights you were building at, so sometimes you'd end up with like big stilts running down to the water. And that was like a really quaint like way, and you could eventually build that sort of as big as possible.
Yeah.
This is just very much you can just put the tiles down on this small space, and once you're finished, it's done.
Yep.
And when you regenerate, you will potentially get completely different tiles. And if you don't like the 6 or so different tile types you've got, just press R, do it all again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it's going to be a lot of people's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But hopefully the store page, and I checked out the store page earlier as well, hopefully the store page is going to make that clear.
Yeah.
But because I've seen people in the community hub on that game just going, but what is it? What is the point of the thing?
I think it's to the game's benefit it currently has a demo available on Steam, and I really hope that they keep that demo up even once the game is available to purchase.
Yeah, I think I haven't played the demo version, so I don't know what that consists of. But I can see from looking at the community hub that people are like, what is going to be different? What should I expect more of? And
it feels like the answer to that's going to be not much.
Not much. Maybe some different tile types. Maybe the fact that I think the map sizing thing is a different thing.
Yeah.
The main problem I had with the largest map size is if you've been going like as the next tile is generated and going, I'm going to put this over here or over here. Sometimes because of that just 90-degree rotational thing, you might find it really difficult to work out where you haven't placed something.
Yes, there's a square somewhere and I can't see it.
Yes, especially if you've got like lots of tall buildings and then like paths between them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dear, I have kind of run
you
myself
can't
into a
just
corner.
top-down view it nicely.
And it's like, no, that has brought stress into my nice relaxing place. Like, I feel what might be a nice addition if they could add it would be like a little button to press and it does like a little halo up from like where are empty spaces that you haven't filled yet to sort of help mitigate issues like that. But apart from that, like, I can see this just being a fun thing to sit and potter with, and if the price is right, I think certain types of people will really chill with that.
Yeah, the price is going to be key for something like this.
Yeah, I think so. Like, pop some lo-fi on, and maybe get yourself a nice cup of something warm and cozy, and build a town for 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, an evening, if that's what works for you. But yeah, it's harmless entertainment, and a bit of harmless doesn't really hurt anyone.
Well, is that everything we've done?
That is everything.
Well then, time for this.
Hi, you're joining us for the first time this week.
Oh yeah, hi.
Yeah, welcome to Warm Club. It's like basically just a little social gathering. We get together, we share a meal, keep ourselves warm together. It's just like just a nice little community thing.
Yeah.
So I can show you around if you'd like.
Oh yes, please.
Okay, so over here we've got food prep. They're making up a huge lentil curry at the moment. That should be very filling and warming. I think they've probably only got about 20 minutes left, guys. Yeah, that'll be ready soon. Over here we have the group therapy area. You can, talk through some things if you're struggling at all, and there's a few people here who are actually trained professionals, so they can help actually deal with that in a more meaningful way than just generally chatting. Over here we have crafting workshops.
Ooh.
So there's all sorts of things you can do. Everything from crochet, knitting, like screen printing, things like that, right up to how to design a pithy yet entertaining banner. And now over here we have woodworking shops. So you could want to build yourself some shelves from discarded forklift pallets, or build a small community garden out of disused forklift pallets, or work out how to build a guillotine from items you might find on your way to a billionaire's mansion. And now over here we've got the legal advice workshops, and they deal with everything from interacting with the police, how to vouch for yourself in the workplace, if there happens to be workplace disputes, anything like that. They can help you with your right to protest against social inequality, things like that. Now, next door to them, of course, we have the collective action workshops. They can, help with things from making your collective voice heard in the workplace, something like how to organise and gather a group of like-minded individuals in a similar situation to, for example, rise up against those in power who, let's say, just, hypothetically have run this country and its people dry for the last 12 years, or whatever.
Totally random example, that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing me lunch, Anne.
Oh, I hope you enjoy it. So something wrong with your sandwich?
I can tell you've been playing a lot of Pokemon, hon. I see you've got this little Squirtle flag here in the top.
Yeah, that's to hold all the ingredients in place. It's a very temperamental stacking arrangement.
It is a leaning tower of meat-free turkey, and is this some kind of plant?
There are some very salty herbs in there. There's some very salty herbs.
I have a heart condition. I have to be really
it's
careful
not
about how
technically
much salt.
It's a plant. It's just a plant that tastes salty. Salt is the most powerful flavor for a sandwich. Every sandwich needs more salt flavor.
I mean, I'm having to be really careful about these things, and also I get the desire to try new things, but I'm not sure I'm ready for a continental open sandwich.
The top slice of bread in a sandwich is a scam. It just risks toppling the ingredients for no payoff. You don't get any stat buff on your sandwich for the top piece of bread.
Why would he get a stat buff for my
Throw the
sandwich
top
apart
piece
from
of-
deliciousness?
Throw the top piece of bread off. It is an unnecessary
I
risk.
want to just be able to pick up my sandwich and also get more mayonnaise on it.
Well, if you want to get more mayonnaise on it, next time come help me make the sandwich, because then we get larger bread to work with and considerably more buffs if we assemble the sandwich in co-op.
I don't mind making my own sandwich.
No, we've got to do it together. We get buffs for doing it in co-op.
Hang on. Is this a Scarlet and Violet thing?
Yeah, it's a Scarlet and Violet thing.
You've been playing a lot of Scarlet and Violet recently.
Yeah. Did you know that a 10% margin of ingredients falling on the floor is entirely acceptable?
I mean, I did wonder that when I went out to get the sriracha.
You can speed up procreation with the right combination of meats.
You keep your procreative meats away from me. Barren! I'm remaining barren forever.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to learn to do sandwiches good.
I think I'll just make my own sandwich.
I'm sorry.
More mayo, more sriracha!
Sriracha's only good if you're making a sandwich with a sweet and spicy flavour profile.
All of my sandwiches should have sweet and spicy flavour profile.
Not if you want shinies.
I don't want a shiny sandwich. I want a delicious sandwich. You can't just put edible glitter on smudge.
It's a shiny now.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
We put a few things in our eyes together.
We did. We've been a busy beans.
Should we start with the one that we finished just before recording this?
Oh, you want to start with that?
Don't give Netflix any money, but let's
Don't
talk
give Netflix
about
money.
Wednesday. So this is
But
a
it's Tuesday.
so this is a live action 8-episode show loosely themed around Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family, separated from the rest of the
What
Addams
if Wednesday
Family.
was at high school?
Yeah, there are some choices made here that are going to feel a little out of place with typical Addams Family material. Mainly Wednesday Addams' contentious relationship with her mother feels a little out of place, maybe. But
I mean, I've not read any of the cartoons. All of my Addams Family knowledge comes from watching a few of the black and white episodes when I was very little. They used to be repeated on, I think, Channel 4 when I was a kid.
yeah,
So I watched a bunch of that, and then obviously the 90s movies.
it's very much a thing of like originally the Addams Family were created to be a sort of parody of dysfunctional sitcom families, with the intention being that no, those things just aren't problems. They may seem spooky and scary, but they are just a family who love each other.
They're a family who love each other unconditionally.
Yeah,
And I think it's also that sort of husband and wife that don't see each other as just the worst thing in the world.
yeah. And
Which for the time was pretty groundbreaking.
I will say, I really liked their casting of Gomez Addams. I thought it was like great casting for it. But like generally, this is Wednesday Addams gets thrown to a boarding school because she does a very Wednesday Addams violent act and gets kicked out of her previous school.
Yep.
For very justifiable reasons, even if potentially an overreach.
It does feel like kind of weird that they wouldn't have just put Wednesday in the school that she got sent to anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it was her mum's old school, and her dad had also been there too.
Yeah.
And, like, Fester had apparently hung out there at some point.
It seemed like they contrived a reason for her to be shipped to this school that didn't really need to exist, but
yeah.
But it's basically...
It was a fun intro, though.
Yeah, it was indeed a fun intro. It is much more of a Monster of the Week mystery show.
It's got real Scooby-Doo vibes to it.
Yeah, it's... so it's one consistent mystery, but it's basically, hey, you're at a school for... We're going to call it a school for misfits. It's a school for people generally with, like, some kind of magical affliction.
Yeah. Be they sirens or werewolves,
or just
Medusas.
a goth that threw some
Boggans.
piranhas in a pool once.
or a goth who...
Yeah. It's a weird mix of, like, it's not officially called a magic school, like a weird creature school, because, like, that's not all of what they are. But there is some kind of monster doing big murder.
Big man.
And Wednesday Addams is a amateur detective who's going to solve the mystery while writing her novel about a detective kid, and also being the most Gen X, completely emotionally flat Wednesday Addams character possible.
I mean, I feel like they captured classic Wednesday from Christina Ricci era, from like Addams Family and Addams Family Values.
I think they did a good job of portraying Wednesday as a character who is trying very, very, very hard to act like she doesn't care. And putting her in situations where that is pushed up against. And there being consequences for her acting the way that she does.
Yes.
And demonstrations of the fact that, like, I get it, but it is not always to your benefit, Wednesday, and maybe not always that is the answer. I generally found it a well-acted, well-written mystery.
I think Gwendolyn Christie plays an amazing head teacher.
Should we talk about the elephant in the room here?
The Tim Burton racism.
Well, that's one of the elephants in the room.
Okay.
So yeah, there's Tim Burton racism. Do you want to talk about that first, and then I'll get to the other bit?
Yeah, so I one of the things that struck me really early on with this is, first of all, it's very white.
Yes.
Apart from, like, Gomez and Pudsley, who disappear almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like, they're basically only in 2 episodes.
Yes. And even then, not those whole episodes.
Then the fact that you've got the mayor is black.
Mm-hmm.
They're the first bully that Wednesday meets is black. Her mum has some very concerning connections that are sort of hinted or sort of outright said in like a mid-season episode.
Yeah.
And it feels like if they get a second season, there will be a lot more of that going on. Then they're like, even though that character like has a bit of an arc, like she very much starts as a bully. There's the mayor's son who is a bully. Although it seems like there might be some attempt to, like, change him in future, but generally, like, there's...
They do a lot of heavily, like, hey, the very few black characters that exist either get killed or are part of the group of bullies, and some of them get redeemed, but you really don't see black people outside of person who gets killed and group of bullies that may or may not feel bad about it later.
Yeah.
In a way that's, like... I've also...
And I looked this up last night because I was like, I don't think I'm just imagining this.
No.
And the internet is already awash with, don't forget that Tim Burton said in 2016, when asked why his movies are so white, he said, sometimes a movie calls for a thing and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. There's a couple of times where there'll be a certain shot and you just go, yeah, this is the only context we're seeing black people in this, huh? So the other thing is, let's talk about co-option of queer language for very forced metaphors about monster identities.
Yes.
So there are 2 in particular moments that jump to mind on this, and they both feel just completely fucking tasteless and tactless.
Yep.
One of them, there's a girl who's a werewolf, and she's from a family of werewolves, but she's not transformed into a wolf properly yet, and it's a bit past time that like the rest of her family have done. And it seemed like it was going to be a late blooming puberty metaphor, but then it turned into a word, like literally this is what they say. You're sending me to conversion camp for werewolves.
Yep.
They're going to send her to a camp to be like, hey, we're going to encourage you to turn into a wolf for the first time. That's presented as specifically it's called conversion therapy camp for werewolves. And I'm like, The other one is later on in reference to what type of monster a person is. I didn't ask what they identify as.
Yeah.
And it's, like, very pointedly said. It's very, like, It's what they identify as.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't ask what kind of creature they are. No, it's they identify as.
Yeah.
And both of them feel really pointed and weird and out of nowhere. The conversion
It feels like they kind of wanted to get some representation in, but also didn't want to get any representation
the
in.
conversion therapy one feels like a fucking punchline. It feels like they want you to laugh at it. Like, it feels
Maybe. Like, we both sat here and just went, ew.
Yeah. And it feels all the more frustrating given that there is one gay couple in the show. That one kid's pair of mums.
Yeah, and again, like, they are the typical Disney-fied...
They appear for 2 seconds to say, hey, we're gay.
Standing
we're gay.
2 feet apart.
Yes. We are in the doorway. We are that character's mums. Goodbye. It is very noticeable that, like, there is no queer representation within, like, the main cast of named characters. Like, I don't think we know either of those mums' names. And, like,
They might be mentioned, but I don't remember.
But, like, they certainly aren't, like, in any way driving forces in the narrative.
No, I think they appear, like, twice more in the series.
Yeah.
And even then it's like, oh yeah, hi, we're just popping in, bye.
It would have felt different if one of the, like, dozen or so characters that were, like, recurring speaking characters had been... It still would have felt forced, but at the very least, like, it wouldn't have been so nothing about us without us.
Especially considering what you were telling me about the promotion for
when's gay? So yeah, so apparently...
The answer is never.
So apparently there was a promotional event for this that involved a drag act performing, and the event was called When's Gay. Netflix also apparently tweeted a bunch of images of 2 of the primary female characters together, and a lot of hashtags that were things like OTP, like relationship goals, a lot of things trying to imply that they were gonna be queer, and no, they're not. It really fucking feels like they were very fucking tone deaf.
Yeah, and for all their, like, attempts to force stuff in, there was a point really early on in the series where there's, like... So I think someone assumes that some killer is male.
Yeah.
And is like, what, well, who is he? Who is he? And then somebody else comes back with or she.
Yeah.
And it's like, of all the characters in the world, I can see Wednesday being the perfect person to turn around and go, those aren't the only options.
Wednesday is a perfectly poised character to call out a line like that and go, hey, just so you know, it's bullshit you comparing your thing to conversion therapy, don't do that. Like, Wednesday's a character who'd be really well positioned to call that bullshit out. And it's frustrating, because it's a well-written and performed mystery that I generally enjoyed, but, like, that I can't recommend to anyone.
There's a lot to enjoy in it, but I would not recommend it.
No. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
What about you? Did you watch anything this week?
I watched... Hang on, I need to get the name of this correct. Roblox_oof.mp3.
Yeah.
It's an H-Bomber Guy video.
It sure is.
It's time for one of his 3 videos a year.
Yep.
Wow, this is quite the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So it starts off about that oof sound that you may have heard, that oof sound from Roblox being the oof sound from Roblox. But what if it wasn't from Roblox? What if originally it was in the game Messiah? Do you know Messiah?
No, I don't know Messiah. Tell me about Messiah.
It was a, I think, early 2000s game where you play like a cherub.
Oh,
and you're like
yes.
running around. I think there's a lot of possession people.
Yeah.
I owned it and I don't remember a damn thing about it. I think it was possibly by Shiny Entertainment, who also did MDK. Like, I barely remember anything about this. That sample is from that game.
Right.
So it's not even the Roblox thing, it's a reused sample. Then it just goes on this whole thing about the person who owns the rights to that and claims that they created it. and some of that person's other claims, and then just goes on this wild spiral for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I have this queued up to watch. I'm just not emotionally prepared for it yet.
It's confusing and kind of funny, and just I didn't care anything about this person or have any reason to even know who they were. Like, apparently they were reasonably known within the gaming scene.
Did I see right that it was like Tommy Tallarico or someone? Yeah.
I don't know who that is, or I didn't know who that was before this video.
Yeah, no, I'd seen mentions of Tommy Tallarico doing the rounds, and I was like, wait, is this who this video's about?
Yes, he Tommy Tallarico Studios own that sample.
Well, yeah, Tommy Tallarico sure has made some claims in his fucking career.
He has. I knew nothing about this guy. So, like, all of this stuff, like, was like, oh yeah, he used to appear on TV doing, like, video review stuff of various games and things. And Tommy Tallarico Studios was named in a bunch of video games. And this guy is like, yeah, I've been on MTV Cribs a few times, and I've got a bunch of Guinness World Records and various other claims. And it's just a wild ride. And maybe if you know who some of the people are involved, you'll get more out of it. But I was like, this man is just a strange fantasist.
Yeah, no. Like, the most recent, like, notable thing he did is he became CEO of Intellivision and tried to create that new Intellivision console that crowdfunded a bunch of money and then venture capitaled a bunch of money and does not exist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff about the Intellivision things and some claims made around that might land in court.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
Look, as soon as I knew that Tommy Tallarico was involved, I was like, I need to be in a stable place to go on this kind of emotional spiral.
So have you... I mean, obviously, you're more of the gaming journalist than I.
Oh,
so...
yeah, I'm aware of Tommy Tallarico. I'm aware of this. He's been a constant figure of just being around.
Yes, I think it was G4 TV.
Yeah, he's been fucking everywhere.
Yeah, that was an interesting and wild ride. If you've got some time to kill, or you want something on in the background that will occasionally make you look over and go, I'm sorry, what?
I'll get around to it.
It's not a bad time. What about you? Watched anything else?
We watched a movie called Slumberland.
We did.
That
certainly is a movie. We had some thoughts about that.
Yeah. So it is a sort of family-oriented...
What if the family died?
So it's a film about, like, hey, what if you and your dad, small child, what if you lived in a lighthouse and then your dad mysteriously died one night? Now you've got to go live with your autistic-coded uncle who is not equipped to look after a kid. And then also, what if you could go on dream adventures, and maybe somewhere down in the dream adventures there's a magical thing that'll let you wish for whatever you want in your dreams and bring your dad back so you can have a conversation with him.
A MacGuffin, you say?
A MacGuffin. With the implication being you're going to have your dad back, but only in your dreams, and then you're never going to want to wake up. So go on dream adventures to go get your dad back, but only while you're sleeping. Sleep forever, maybe.
Visually, very, very striking.
Yeah?
Yeah, I enjoyed, like, a lot of the, like, set design stuff. There's, like, some really fascinating scenes that reminded me a little bit of things like the original Doctor Strange, with that sort of fractal patterning, especially one of the scenes in the bathroom.
Yep. There are moments that definitely feel like they visually lift a lot from, like, the first season of Loki.
Yeah.
In terms of some of the stuff they do, some of their... The visual identity of some of their framing device.
Yes.
It is... I have thoughts on this film.
Okay.
I'm
Is
gonna
it just about Chris O'Dowd, or...?
Let's talk about Chris O'Dowd.
Okay.
Chris O'Dowd plays a character who's clearly portrayed as autistic, or at the very least
It may have been based on someone.
Yeah, portrayed with autistic mannerisms.
Yeah.
He is a doorknob salesman / collector who can tell you everything about the history of doorknobs.
And that when that character is introduced as somebody who likes everything a certain way, and has this collection of a very niche interests, and has tons of knowledge that he is happy to share, or like even when he attempts to tell a bedtime story, it's what if somebody had done imperial measurement rather than metric on a doorknob?
Yeah,
and like that was really sweet, and we both had to say, we're both autistic, aren't we? That's good to know.
Yeah, because here's the thing, like, for the most part of it, I thought it was going to be a really sweet story about, like, autistic person learning how to make accommodations to fit this child into his life, and child going, actually, new autistic caregiver is actually very sweet and is trying very hard, and I should be giving him more of a chance than I am.
And also, recovering or getting over the loss of a loved one, and maybe the fact that the answer is not always to retreat into your fantasies.
And, like, some of that
For the most of the film, that seems to be the case.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna talk.
Should we do a spoiler for 2 minutes?
Spoiler for 2 minutes if you don't want to.
Give me a second, I will start a timer.
Okay, we haven't started yet.
Okay, and go.
Okay, so it turns out that this character isn't autistic.
He's just missing a part of himself.
He's just missing a part of himself.
A puzzle piece, perhaps.
And if he has this part of himself back that was lost somehow in his childhood, he'd be a normal, functional human again.
Yeah.
It's the adventurous, fun bit of him, and the happy sort of conclusion to the narrative is, we went into his dreams and we got back that bit of him. We fixed him. He's now a big, adventure-y, confident type, and he's not... he was never interested in doorknobs. He just settled on them because he lost a part of himself, and all he could see himself doing with life was being obsessed with doorknobs. But now he can live a normal life and be a normal person, and like actually raise this kid. Now he's not autistic coded anymore. He can be a parent now because he's not autistic.
We managed to get all that out in a minute.
Yeah.
And that is about the time we both lost interest in this film.
Yeah. As soon as I knew that fucking, what's the other guy's name? Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
As soon as I realised Jason Momoa was like, oh, that's your missing piece, is it? My interest spiraled downward.
Yeah.
It's a real shame, because, like, I was generally enjoying it other than that.
I really thought the lesson was going to be, retreating into your fantasies is not necessarily the solution.
And that was kind of
the solution.
The solution.
But also the solution was...
Fix your autistic uncle.
Fix your autistic uncle.
Yeah.
And our 2 minutes is almost up. It will be... no, and we're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, so Chris O'Dowd's character right at the end really annoyed me. And that's that. Like, it was an otherwise nice film if you're okay with a bit of child traumatized by their dead parent at the start.
It was another one of those films that was like, this looks like a lovely, fun fantasy adventure children's movie that, if I had to keep a child entertained, might be just the sort of thing. Oh god, it's trauma, isn't it?
Yeah. No, this film really has a traumatized child being traumatized for a while.
Yep.
Speaking of things we watched this week, where at least one of them, the first one we popped on, was considerably heavier than expected. We checked on some more Bluey.
We did watch a bunch more Bluey.
Yeah.
We needed a bit of a palate cleanser.
We did. The first episode of Bluey we put on was not the palate cleanser. It was a very, very well made episode, but it was heavier than I was anticipating.
Was the bird, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the one about, like, hey,
they find the budgie.
Yeah, they find a bird and it dies, and they've got to deal with explaining death and not wanting death to have happened, and then...
And also, how children deal with that sort of thing
Yeah.
by recreating it through play.
Yeah, children learning to process emotions through mimicry and replicated play. Like, it is a fantastic little piece of TV
Yeah.
that was definitely one of the more like, okay, I'm going to put down the other thing I'm doing and just watch this for a minute episodes.
Yeah.
Bluey continues to be just very charming.
I'm really enjoying Bluey.
Charming,
it's
sweet
a lovely
show.
little palate cleanser in a world that is increasingly stressful and sad.
The child vocal performances are great.
Yeah.
There was one episode with a cousin character that hadn't slept.
Oh.
That episode was beautifully voice acted.
Is that Muffin?
Might be. Yeah. But yes, that whole episode was beautifully acted, that performance. Yeah, it's just a charming little
It's
show.
a really
that.
sweet little, like, I don't want to... I need some... I need a mini amount of Ghibli. I need a little bit of slice of life that's not too exciting and not too sad.
Yeah.
And will just be... This TV is not going to hurt me.
Everything's going to be okay within 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's going to be very sweet.
And even if it's one of the sadder episodes, there'll be another one along in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that might just be a fun adventure about learning to deal with things and
Yeah. Or getting grandma to floss.
getting grandma to floss.
Yeah.
Do grannies floss?
Yeah, I saw it happen.
Mm.
They flossed. What about you? What did you watch this week?
Well, I mean, not even this week, because we missed last week. So
I know.
we have a double whammy. I read through Lumberjanes volumes 17 and 18.
Yes.
So I can't remember what the names of them are right off now off the top of my head. It's been about a week since I read them. So the first one is about the goddess Freya turning up.
Ooh.
And seemingly a bunch of things are going missing. So what is going on there? And bit of an adventure. Some of the Janes going off and having a very different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about queer relationships within that.
Yeah.
Hess having some troubles trying to explain themselves and coming to Mel for advice, who is, tries to put on a big front and tries to sort of be, I'm the big butch one, but also is like afraid of water and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the nice things about Lumberjanes, like your characters might be, they don't necessarily play into stereotypes a lot. Although Ripley is the most wonderfully rambunctious of all the Janes, and that's quite an interesting story. Not gonna spoil that. Another one is about, it's a little bit about the history of the camp. And how it came to be, and finding out about who Jane was. Who is the Lumberjane, and what is the history of the camp itself? Like, where did it come from? And that's quite an interesting little reveal about some past stuff, and then making up between a couple of characters who've been a little bit icy towards each other throughout the series. I mean, I probably need to read the whole thing again, because it feels like so long since I started reading Lumberjanes. There's probably tons of stuff I've already forgotten. But yeah, it continues to be just a really wholesome story about a bunch of lady types at camp. And there's some queer characters and some trans characters and some non-binary characters. And there's the Greek pantheon and someone who can turn into a bear and dinosaurs and all sorts. It's a really fun story.
Yeah.
And a hat that might actually be a raccoon. And what about you? What else have you watched?
I think that's it for me, really.
That's everything you watched?
Yeah.
You didn't sit on a cinema seat hunched over a boiling laptop in a freezing room?
Yes, because again, it's not just this week. Yes, won't go into do huge amounts of detail on this, but I did commentary for Kaleidoscope, the new Spectrum wrestling event up in Sheffield, which I will be doing the VOD commentary for tomorrow at the time of recording. For anyone who wasn't there, here's the basic things you need to know. Commander Sterling and Priscilla, Queen of the Ring, formed a tag team, the Queens of the Space Age, to fight against two hypnotizing killer clowns.
Yeah, learn to speak clown.
Learn to speak clown. That was great. We had a match between Simon Miller and a hippie vegan that powered up using spinach and the power of a vegan diet.
Yeah, go on.
We had a bunch of fights. The big one at the end, the Spectrum Teacup,
Yes.
was a chance for Gia Adams and Mercedes Blaze, who had been the main event match of the first Spectrum Wrestling event, to relitigate that particular situation, because the first time around, Gia Adams looked like she was going to win, Mercedes faked an injury, then used that to get a sneaky pin in. Gia got her chance to try and get revenge and get a clean win back out of that.
Yeah.
It was a fun night.
It was another fun night. They give good show. Well done to everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any idea when the VOD will be up for that? Or the VOD with new... I think because the live one is currently up now, isn't it?
Yes. My guess is by the end of the week we're recording this, probably. So by early December. Very early December, I think.
Yeah, if not, I believe the VOD is still up on...
Yeah, the Twitch VOD's up, still on Twitch, but hey, you can watch it all fancy-like soon.
All fancy.
Yeah.
With production values. Although, you did all the stuff with the camera angles.
Yeah, I had multiple angles this
Everyone
time.
got to see the rectangle. People enjoy the even though it wasn't the original rectangle.
It was a tribute.
Yeah.
What about you? You watched anything else this week?
That is everything I watched.
Well then, time for this.
No, got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you have questions?
I have some questions.
Do you need answer to those questions?
Sometimes I do, yeah.
Have you ever wondered if maybe it's time to just get a tail?
I mean,
Sneeze?
no.
A $7,000 suit with air conditioning?
No, definitely I never thought about that.
This week's sponsor is the Am I a Fairy quiz book. Are you trying to determine if you just think animals are cute, or if you are ready to spend that much money on a fursuit?
I'm definitely confident I don't want to spend that much on a fursuit.
These questions will help you assess whether you should give in and just buy those things. Or at least, buy an inordinate amount of foam and fur and start trying to make your own one.
Okay, I'm looking through the one they sent over. Well, yeah. Well, yes. Yes. Well, yeah. Of course. Oh no.
I mean, I'm not a furry.
Not that.
The opposite of that.
A little bit. Oh
Look
no.
at that. Are you going to get you some bunny ears?
Oh no.
You're going to be so adorable.
Oh no.
Yay! I fully support you in your furry journey. So that's amiafurryquizbook.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS. And then just any 3 numbers you like the sound of. And as long as they're single digits, I guess. And you can get 10% off a $7,000 fursuit. Maybe.
Oh, that's how they get you in.
That's how they get you in. It's got air conditioning.
I mean, that would be nice in the summer.
And who wants to take their fursuit off in summer? Not me. Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, got a problem.
Can we whip it?
No.
Can we buy it?
I've tried, it's not working.
Can we fire it?
No.
Right.
Yeah, so... for some reason, I don't know why they're doing it this time. They've never done it in the past.
Right.
Government regulators are sniffing around.
Are they after more money? We pay them so much money.
I know, right? Look... So here's the problem. We wanted to make that big purchase of basically the biggest video game, developer that
our
isn't
one
us.
big rival, yeah.
Exactly. We were going to purchase them.
Yeah.
They've never had a problem with us purchasing companies before.
Yeah,
but
we bought.
Yeah.
I mean, we own, what, 400 or 500?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently buying our biggest competitor is seen as creating a monopoly and not good for the health of the industry, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, we gotta try and find some way to still make this happen. We gotta find a way to convince them we're not creating a monopoly, despite the fact we're explicitly doing this because we want to create a monopoly.
I thought we weren't calling it that.
No, we're not calling it that, but it's just you and me.
Family.
Yeah, it's a family. Yeah. So here's my big plan right now, and I wonder what you think of this.
Right.
I reckon we promise the regulators we won't become a monopoly yet. We'll make sure that our biggest competitor, that all our competitors can still get access to the games they need to from that developer for now.
I mean, we'll still be selling them, right? We'll still be getting the money from the game.
Yeah, exactly. We were, and we're gonna abstain from monopolistic practices for a while.
Right.
Like, we put an arbitrary limit on it. Like, maybe it's like 3-5 years or something. It's like, we won't do all those things you're worried we're gonna do as a monopoly for at least 5 years.
Right. Yeah. And why not during that time? We can, this is exclusive to this version of the game, our version of the game.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing they're worried about us doing.
It's just cosmetics. Just remember, it's just cosmetics.
Just cosmetics. Yeah, but that's the thing. I reckon if we make some promises with like a time limit, we can look. Money today would be better, but
I like money.
But like monopoly level money, in a while, I can do that if I have to. I know how to be patient. If I'm sat on top of a future monopoly, I know how to be patient. That's a fucking gold mine. I love sitting on a monopoly.
Yeah. And a gold mine. Yeah, I could sit on both of those things. And a yacht. Can we get another yacht?
Of course we can get another yacht.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
I'd listened to one new piece of music.
Ooh.
I listened to one thing that wasn't Pokemon soundtrack this week.
Okay.
It's from a band I already know, but it's a song I hadn't heard before. The song is called Montgomery Forever by the Front Bottoms. It is very much the same kind of music they always make. That's very sort of like whiny Midwest emo boy over guitar. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it deeply, even knowing it's kind of trash. The song seems to be about a bad relationship falling apart between two people who aren't very compatible, but it happening against the backdrop of a lot changing in the rest of their life. Sort of symbolized by like buildings that you used to know being demolished, and how it can be hard to grasp for familiarity when too many things in life seem to be changing at once. Interesting little song.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you listened to anything this week?
I've been listening to some more of the Magnus Archive stuff that happened post Season 5.
Yeah?
So I listened to an episode called A Hole in the Ground, which is found recording from Gertrude Robinson. So this is Sue Sims reading a story about, or reading a statement of someone who was walking through the woods, and they heard this sort of mewling noise.
Yeah.
And they found, basically down a muddy well, a small creature. And they took it home and they nursed it, and the creature was very clingy.
Yeah.
And would get very upset if it was left alone and damage things. And all other times it wanted to just sort of be draped over this person's shoulder. And if they went to eat any food, the thing had to have some of it first. And basically, if they didn't do what the thing wanted, it gave them horrible nightmares.
Oh no.
And it got really snarky and started trying to separate them from their friends and stuff. And that goes some places.
I imagine it would.
It's a really unsettling story about just a clingy little thingy. The next one I listened to was called That Face at the Window, which is read by Jürgen Leitner, which is Jonathan Sim's dad, whose name escapes me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a writer who meets someone in a cafe, and that there is something very off about the person they meet. And something happens. Not telling you what. The one I listened to while I was out shopping earlier was from Rusty Fears 5. The episode was called Casting Line.
Yeah.
And it's about... It feels like one of those Strollpeter-esque... We're gonna... This is a story you tell to small children hoping to instill morals in them through absolute terror. And it is... Basically, the moral at the start of the story is... Careful what you're casting out because of what you will reel in.
Yeah.
And it is about a person who basically becomes an expert manipulator and liar. And the experience they have when they start noticing the lies they tell people manifest as fishhooks in the recipients of those lies.
Yeah.
And being like, I need to, like, pulling needles out, pulling hooks out of people. It's like, they never notice the needles, they don't see me pulling them out, but also, like, if I don't do it, they're just wandering around with, like, hooks dangling out of them, and it's really disconcerting, and where that goes for this person who is constantly on the up because they're a master manipulator.
Wow.
And, that goes some places.
I had a look. You are not far away from listening to one of these that was written by someone who's contributed to the anthology book I'm working on at the moment. There's an episode called Inheritance coming up.
That is the next one I was going to come to.
Yeah, Inheritance is written by someone who's written for a little Autistic Joy anthology.
Well, I hope they have more autistic joy than they have horror joy. Because that is a really unsettling story.
Have you listened to Inheritance already?
Oh! I listened to that.
Yeah.
I was listening to that while I was cooking dinner.
Oh, I thought you meant that was the next one you were going to get to. Yeah, so that was written by Matrim Tate. Tell us about Inheritance.
Inheritance is about a person who inherits a house from, I think it's a parent. The brother doesn't have any interest in any of the stuff kept there, but it turns out I think it's mum. Mum was a hoarder, so the house is just full of stuff of all sorts. And the first thing, obviously, this person does on inheriting the house, like, checks nobody else in the family wants any of the stuff that might be there, and then starts going about clearing it out. And for them, like, for the brother's stuff, the brother said was like, don't care, burn it, sell it, whatever, get rid of it. It was like, that was really easy to do, but then there was my stuff, and I was like, oh, this is all stuff from my childhood, and I remember this, and oh, this has triggered a memory. And realising you've made so much mess that, actually, I'll go and sleep in a different room tonight. And then starting to find mould in the house.
Yeah.
And the mould starting to just grow and overtake everything. And... not really going to say any more than that. It's got a really dark ending.
Yeah.
It's really sinister.
I can tell you their story about Joy is about the joy of words and word sounds and language and playing around with the rules of how words are meant to be used and echolalia and just autistic relationship to words.
Fascinating.
And not about
mould.
Not about mould.
Yay. I'm glad. Also, well done. That is a wonderfully unsettling story. That is me up to date with... I think there's a few more Rusty Fears episodes. And then everything after that is largely just, oh my god, we've got a Kickstarter going for the Magnus Protocol. 3 new seasons of Magnus and a live tour and a branded microphone are available at various tiers. So,
wow.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's everything I've listened to.
Well then,
time for this.
Are you looking for a new cereal?
Try Clivios, the new bran-based cereal made from 100% whole bran, and it's completely unfortified by risque vitamins or minerals. In fact, every batch of Clivios has been boiled for at least 14 hours to make sure that it is completely devoid of any nutrition. Just bran, thank you very much. Serve up in a sensibly sized bowl with some room temperature skimmed milk. It's a not too exciting breakfast meal that's as much of a workout for your jaw as it is for your digestive tract. Clivios, they turn the milk grey.
Is life too stressful?
Uh-huh.
Job getting you down?
Mm-hmm.
Are you done with the daily grind?
Uh-huh.
We're currently hiring for small animals to fall asleep in flowers or holes in trees. If you're up to this complete lack of challenge, why not apply for a role at justasleepylittlefriend.lol.net? Apply today and you too could be a dormouse or squirrel, just curled up, having a little nap, maybe in a flower. Sleep tight, little friend. Yeah. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Alright, Barry.
Right, Larry, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You been up so much?
Getting worn down by the world as always, you know.
Yeah. It's highly relatable.
Yeah, this time watching a certain celebrity trying to take a middle of the road stance on bigotry.
Yeah.
Somewhat often happens.
Yeah.
Doing the whole why can't we just be civil? Why can't we just have a little less anger on both sides between the oppressor and the oppressed? Why can't we just calm down a little bit?
Yeah,
You know, see eye to eye. And it's got me thinking about, calls for civility in matters of bigotry.
Yeah.
They are not a neutral stance to take. It is very obvious.
You
They
take
are
a stance and it's the side of the oppressor.
Yeah, it is saying the fact you two are fighting makes me very awkward. I think that it makes me feel uncomfortable. I think that both the oppressed is just as at fault as the oppressor because they're both making me uncomfortable. So if you both
like
just
you all to just shut up.
Civility. Just it sides with the oppressor every time. It's basically saying, please do not fight for change or to protect yourself because I don't like having to feel guilty that I'm not supporting you.
Yeah, it's bullshit, mate.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
And it is just, I'd rather you were out of sight and out of mind. Well, we try and get out of sight and out of mind, and they come for us in our, spaces that we've made for ourselves, and then. In our grief, perhaps you're still saying, "Oh, you're making me uncomfortable in your grief." If you could just pop that away, and especially coming from someone who is also from, a relatively marginalised group, who, if they're not coming for next, they're on the verge of coming for already in some cases. So maybe we unite together against our oppressors rather than going, "Oh, could you just not?"
Yeah.
Could you just not? You're making me very uncomfortable. You're causing a bit of a fuss with your being oppressed there.
Exactly.
Hug, mate.
Oh, definitely.
Good hug, mate. Good hug. Right, I think I'll go and pop the kettle on.
Oh, sounds lovely.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
you do book.
I do book.
You do book.
Yeah, I do
Tell us
book.
about book.
The big one coming up that's imminently arriving is
Unbound.com/book/whale.
Yeah, Who Wants the Whale?
Yeah.
That's going to be out February 16th, 2023.
We're on to the proofs now.
Yeah, we have the version that, assuming we don't catch, basically we got to look through the list of backer names and the dedications and stuff and check that there's no errors in those.
Glaring errors.
Because those are the new things.
Obviously, we can't tell if your names are spelt incorrectly.
No, but we can at least go, that name's written upside down. That doesn't look right.
Unless.
But yeah, that's going to the printers real soon, and then
heck.
it'll be
Then it'll be coming back here to be signed.
yeah, it'll be out officially on February 16th. If you order it through Unbound, you might get it a bit ahead of then. So maybe
Ooh.
order a copy through Unbound. That'd be a cool idea.
Yeah, that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah.
Get that, that'd be good.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm just at Laura K. Buzz everywhere. What about you? Where are you on the internet?
Me, I can be found at patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify my very poor life choices and constant working. And exhaustion. And maybe make things warmer in this house.
Yay.
Yes, before we have to set fire to the microphone. No, not my fuzzy muff. Not my fuzzy microphone muff. Or Linktree. All of my links can be found on Linktree. I've got a SoundCloud where I make music, another one where we put podcasts. I've got a Redbubble. You can get a bunch of my cool shirts. I have bought a bunch of my own shirts recently, so I am currently wearing my butt plug super vest. Very happy with that. There's spoopy ones. There's all sorts in that range. Some of them are weirder than others. Some of them are just references to things that happened on stream, like the butts one, which is just Laura jumping out of a butt going, butts! Which I think is a glorious shirt, but everyone was like, you did it on a Jackbox, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll put it on a shirt.
I own and enjoy that shirt.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. There's the Queer and Pleasant Strangers shirt.
Yeah.
I met someone at Kaleidoscope who was like, I didn't know you had any Queer and Pleasant merch. I was like, yeah, we do. We have shirts that say Queer and Pleasant on them. So you can get one of those if you want. I think that's everything. Anyway, you can find it all linked together in a little tree. linkter.ee/Janiac, JANEIAC. I think that's everything. So Laura,
Yeah.
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.